The Ride with JMV.
Here comes Halliburton. Hits the timeline with 7. Outside the arc with 5. Driving in the lane at the goal. He lays it in with 1 3/10 seconds to go. 4 seconds to go. Halliburton for 3. 3-ball. 2-point game, 6 seconds to go. Halliburton driving. He's in the lane. He nearly lost it. He backs up and unloads a 3. Oh! That did not happen! It hit the back of the rim. It popped high into the air, and it dropped gently through the net. Gilgeous-Alexander has it, 9 to shoot. The defender is Nembhard. Here comes the left-hand bounce, penetrates the arc. Nembhard cuts him off, and he missed off the back of the rim. Rebound, Indiana. 8 seconds to go. The Pacers are not going to call a timeout. Halliburton has it with 3, driving with 2, pulling up, and hitting with 3/10 of a second to go. How many more times can this team do that?
Sweet baby.
Hey, this is why we're here at Tom's Watch Bar downtown. We got a watch party getting ready to happen to Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Thank you for joining us. The pre to the pre with me, JMV, until 7:30 tonight. Tom's Watch Bar, downtown Indy, where this has been the epicenter of fun throughout the course of the postseason and into the finals. Game number 1 last Thursday. The highlights right there, Mark Boyle and Eddie Gill. Eddie Garrison's back at the studio. We've got guests planned. I've got fun, but the conversation has to be had. It feels like stinking forever since we have seen hoop around here, right? It's just the way the finals might be. What's up? Eric Graves is in the house of Fox 59. We'll have to get him over here in a second and have him. Yeah, come back by. We'll chat you up just a second, too. You got it. So, no, this is Tom's Watch Bar, Michelob Ultra. I should say Michelob Ultra Zero brings us to you on this Sunday evening. Getting you set for Game 2 of the NBA Finals with the Pacers and the Thunder. That tip time tonight is at 8 o'clock. Coverage right here at 7:30 follows us with Pat, Mark, and Eddie right here on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. It's kind of interesting, right? So it's been a while, it seems, and I think it's even more so the feeling you get considering it was Thursday and considering the Pacers had a lead for .3. That was basically it. But that's all you need at the end of the game is a lead for that. So I go on Mad Dog Sports Radio a little bit earlier today, and the one thing they asked me was, and I think this has been a prevalent question across the board since Thursday, it is whether or not, because Oklahoma City went small, and I think you would describe that move, considering how good they were this season, as a bit radical. But they went small with the starting lineup in game number 1. So Wallace in, Hartenstein out. There was a tremendous deal made about that. I had to remind folks of this. I know that they lost, and that's what matters the most. However, when you look at the whole game, they only were behind .3. I didn't think going small was the issue because, honestly, they were set up in a defense at the end of the game that you would hope, if you're OKC, would work out better than it actually did. So you can kind of blame both. I mean, obviously, the defense with the 18-footer with Tyrese Halliburton in rhythm, that felt really good against Cason Wallace. Better than Dort. That part felt really good. But more so than anything else there, it was the lack of the Thunder not being able to close. We talk all the time about the Pacers in closing quarters. And you saw OKC struggle with that. And I thought more of the question was just not how radically changed, which it wasn't, the starting lineup, or whether or not they should go back to Hartenstein over Wallace. I thought more of the question was you put OKC in a situation to where they're not used to it. The Pacers, on the other hand, were in a situation that we have seen time and time again, series after series in the postseason. So to me, that was a much bigger point, much more of a reason as to why the Pacers had an edge or an advantage than debating whether or not that OKC made a mistake by going small to start the game. And, again, should they change that up? I didn't think it played a huge role. I thought they had the personnel out there that they wanted in an in-game situation. They just didn't execute in that in-game situation, whether it was defensively. And you think about a couple of those different times defensively, it was Gilgeous-Alexander that got matched up. I'll give you a couple of different circumstances. We'll talk about that with our guests coming up here in a minute. But you saw SGA in a lot of those defensive situations where the Pacers scored down the stretch. You saw him against Nembhard, and a Nembhard step back. This was the most prevalent to me. This was off a block of Pascal Siakam. I'm sure Eddie Garrison back in the studio remembers this as well. It was off a Siakam block. They go down the floor. Nembhard lines up another deep three that didn't catch iron, and Siakam secured the air ball. You want to know why? Because on the floor. So Siakam got the block. He ran the floor. SGA kind of jogged the floor, was the last one down. Thus, he had the matchup with Siakam. That could have worked out differently had somebody else been able to put a body on Pascal Siakam. There are a lot of things and more of those I'll get to coming up, including the 24 turnovers, including how they took care of the ball in the second half, including only giving up 11 points off of turnover, which means you're hustling ass back defensively after you turn it over. You're not going to hang your head. You're not going to pout. You're not going to cry. You're busting ass back. Pacers did that in game number one. Got a win. Up a game. Best of 7 NBA Finals. He was there on Thursday night. He is back here for a watch party at Gainbridge Fieldhouse on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. The voice of the Pacers. He is Chris Denary. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, John. Just heading down.
Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You got me?
I got you. It sounds like we may have a little bit of a delay, so I'll go ahead and let you answer. I'll start here with the question. And then you can answer. You were actually there. I was describing some of the what I thought was important aspects of the stretch in which the Pacers took the lead and won game one. Besides the 18-footer from Halliburton, what else stood out to you, Chris?
Well, I think Andrew Nembhard's defense on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the last possession that Oklahoma City had, I thought that was huge. And just as you said, the ability of other players to make plays. It's not just Tyrese Halliburton. It's not just Pascal Siakam. It's Obi Toppin. It's Nembhard. It's Neesmith. Those were critical. And I think the other thing, John, it's a little bit surprising that the Pacers out-rebounded the Thunder by 17. I don't think anybody would have expected that when the night started. So that was huge for the Pacers. And as you said, that big offensive rebound by Pascal Siakam late was very big.
So Chris Denary got the watch party at Gainbridge Fieldhouse later on tonight, the voice of the Pacers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Tom's Watch Bars on location. Michelob Ultra Zero brings us to you on this Sunday evening prior to game number 2 of the NBA Finals. So, with what you just said, that would be the lone reason why, if I were the Thunder, I would decide to maybe go back to the bigger lineup than the smaller lineup because of the rebounding edge. Do you think that is something they will do and should do in preparation for game number 2 tonight?
John, I was a little surprised that the team with the best record in the NBA, they've won 80 games, regular season and playoffs, that they would be the team that would make the adjustment and counter Indiana's lineup. So, no, I would not be surprised. Now, they've got to figure out, they've got to get better play out of Holmgren and Hartenstein. Now, Hartenstein had 9.9 rebounds, but Holmgren was not a factor at all. And they went small late, and that played right into Indiana's hands. So Mark Daigneault would not say yesterday what he would do, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them start the two bigs again tonight.
He is Chris Denary. He's joining us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I mentioned they have a watch party at Cambridge Fieldhouse tonight. We have a watch party right here at Tom's Watch Bar, not too far away, in fact, with Michelob Ultra Zero here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. How much of a deal was it that down the stretch the Pacers, Chris, had been in these situations before, in tight game situations, tight windows, that and such, and OKC clearly had not had a great deal of opportunity dealing in those situations because it felt like one team execution-wise was ready for it and comfortable living in it, and the other really wasn't.
Yeah, I think that was one advantage that the Pacers had. Oklahoma City, 68 wins this year, 61 were by double figures. And the Pacers won as many clutch games as Oklahoma City played this year. So I definitely think that was a factor. I think Indiana's comfortable in those situations, and it just looked like Oklahoma City wasn't. Now, they're very capable. They still had a high winning percentage in clutch games. They just didn't play very many.
So Chris Denary on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So here's what I love about the Pacers, and you've seen this all season long, and I think this was mentioned on the broadcast even in game number one. It is described by the Pacers staff as this team, their personnel, are elite-level problem solvers, meaning, for example, you turn the ball over 19 times in the first half, you figure out on the fly what you have to do to be better, what you have to do to be more productive. And clearly, with the turnover aspect, dealing with that pressure defense from OKC, they did that. To me, of all the things, Chris, that's important with this team and how it plays at a high level, I think being able to adjust in-game and not having to wait to watch the tape and prepare for game number 2 after a loss if you don't make that in-game adjustment. This may be most vital and most important for the success of this team.
Yeah, there's no question about that, John. And what I would say is give credit to the players, and rightly so, but give a lot of credit to that coaching staff led by head coach Rick Carlisle. I think he is very, very good in making in-game adjustments and talking with his team, whether it's at a timeout or whether it's at halftime. So I think both the players and the coaches are very adept at making changes and adjustments during the course of a game.
All right, Chris, what's your expectation? So how do the Pacers, adjustments are made, really, over the course of a game at all times, but certainly from the win in game one to this one, where if you're the Pacers, they've gotten greedy the 2 prior series. Certainly, you'd like to see them get greedy once again. How do they do that? And then where are the areas outside of the obvious, the volume of turnovers, where are those adjustments going to be made?
Well, I heard an interview yesterday on NBA radio with Aaron Nesmith, and he said, look, it did take us a while to sort of feel Oklahoma City and how physical and aggressive they play on the defensive end. So I think that is a good advantage to the Pacers is they weathered the storm of the night. Really, they didn't play all that well. Granted, they made 18 threes and they shot 48% from the field, but they also had 24 turnovers. So I think having gone through 48 of understanding what Oklahoma City's defense is all about, I think that really helps them for tonight.
Yeah, I do too. It's funny. Eddie Gill had a comment on the radio network, and I asked him about that on Friday on my show. He said, it's one thing to watch tape, but then you have to play against it. That you have to react to it, and then you have to adapt to it. And I think it took them the entirety of that first half to react and adapt to the type of pressure defense that Oklahoma City played, because on the second half, I didn't think they had much of a problem with it.
No, I mean, they scored 66 points. 33 points a quarter is the average there against arguably the NBA's best defense. So I just thought they did a better job of moving the basketball, not settling for the dribble, and again, hitting shots. I mean, Miles hit a couple of threes, Obi hit 5, Nemhard hit that step-back 3. I don't know if we can expect 18 threes tonight, but I just think overall they can play a better 48 minutes than they played on Thursday night.
Yeah, you know what, Chris, too? I mean, it was an epidemic there early on, that whole first half. Everybody was turning it over. I thought in the first couple of minutes, the Pacers were trying to adapt, and you could tell their jump shots were all long, meaning they had a little bit of nerves. But again, it's that elite level problem solving and getting used to it in game. And that's why I think that is such key for them, because you're able to make that transition in game and not have to wait and make those adjustments for game number 2 after losing game number 1. I think that's a big difference between, being a championship caliber team and a team that may not be ready for prime time.
Well, and here's the other thing, John. When you think about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP, we know he had 38 points. But the Pacers are used to playing against teams like this. Think about it. Giannis averaged 30-plus points in the first round. Donovan Mitchell averaged 30-plus points in the second round, and Jalen Brunson averaged 30-plus points in the third round. So having to deal with somebody that is a shot creator and takes the volume of shots that SGA takes, I think the Indiana Pacers are clearly prepared for that, and I think all of those previous series helped them in this one as well.
All right, so the last time, I want to say, the Thunder lost game 1. It was to the Nuggets, Western Conference semifinals. They had a tremendous bounce back. You make any comparisons, any contrasts to game number 2 in the finals to what they went through against the Nuggets going all the way back to the Western Conference semis, Chris?
Well, they're very capable. I mean, this is a high-powered team, but I just think Indiana, they've been there, and they understand what it takes to win the first 2 on the road. They did it in Cleveland. They did it in New York. They have a chance to do something, Sean, that I don't think many teams in NBA history have done, and that's win the opening 2 games on the road. I feel good about tonight. I really do. I think this team has a real chance to come home 2-0.
You are down there in OKC in game number 1. Describe to the folks here in closing that final possession and the crowd's reaction and then their response as they left the building down 0-1. What was that like?
Well, there were about 500 of us up in section 300, a mile away, and there were Oklahoma City fans all around us. And when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander missed, boy, it got quiet. And when Ty hit that shot, virtually all the people around us, John, they got up and left. Because I think they understood that with point 3, not much can happen. And they're great fans. They support their team. And, a number of them said, well done. But it was a great atmosphere. You really understand, Sean, that the finals are even different than the conference finals. When I got there and picked up my credential and went courtside, you felt that this was different. And we'll experience that at Cambridge Fieldhouse on Wednesday night, and I sure am hopeful it's 2-0.
Telling you, it is a good feel. There's no doubt about that, the way that they attack things, certainly in the second half. And we'll see game number 2 coming up later on tonight. 8 o'clock's the tip time. You can hear it right here on the Fan. And you're going to be at Cambridge Fieldhouse. That's the other thing that impressed me. That place looked like there were 10-plus grand in the joint while you were at OKC and JJ was here hosting the event for Game 1 Thursday.
Yeah, we have flipped it. JJ's in Oklahoma City, so I stayed back for Game 2. I think they're expecting close to 15,000 tonight. Tickets were $5 with the contribution of donation to the Pacers Foundation. And I've seen that tickets, those $5 tickets are going for $30 tonight. So there's a lot of excitement. I can't wait to spend the night with the Pacers fans, and looking forward to it tonight.
So do you have any, do they cap it as far as attendance, or do they just let everybody in that pays? How's that work?
No, I think they capped it. The tickets are sold out. They also put a fee on it for the donation to the foundation, and also people are more apt to make sure they use that ticket if they have a little bit of money in it. And so They were deep in the balcony on Thursday night, and I would assume that we'll have that again tonight.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kristen Aries, the voice of the Pacers. We're live at Tom's Watch Bar right here for the watch party. Michelob Ultra Zero brings us to you. Chris is going to be staked out at Gamers Fieldhouse for the watch party. Game number 2 of the NBA Finals with the Pacers up a game in the best of 7 against OKC. 8 o'clock is the tip time. Kristen Aries on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Chris, I appreciate that. Thank you for the call. Have a great time at the Fieldhouse tonight.
Hey, we will, John. It is a special time. It is so great to have Pacers basketball in June, and can't wait tonight for Game 2.
It's amazing. It really is. Kristen Aries on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Not in 25 years has this occurred. It was like a different set of circumstances for me 25 years ago. Certainly, I was just getting on the ground level started doing radio here in the market at a different station, different sports station, NDE back then. But it certainly had a different feel. Part of that feel was the fact that they were playing the Lakers, and then the Lakers had Shaq and Kobe loaded up and ready to go. But this has been as fun as anything else. I was actually talking to somebody today, and I mention this all the time, especially when I talk to Pacers general manager Chad Buchanan, that I was so on board with bringing everybody back and having the same dynamic personnel-wise, because I felt it worked so well a year ago. Even when you lose in straight sets, for example, there's a Roland Garros reference right there. If you lose in straight sets to Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals, you saw that I felt they had something special. And it just seems like that they have taken step by step. Now, there's been some backpedaling. Neesmith goes down after stepping on Willie Green's foot, the coach then of the Pelicans. Misses some time. That was problematic. Discombobulation basically until the change of the calendar for 24 and 25. But since that point in time, and really swinging on in the latter parts of the regular season, you could see this coming together. And I think a large part of this is the cohesion, the connection, the relatables that these guys have personnel-wise. You simply put, don't see it. And where you do see it, where it's most notable, is in the other locker room in Oklahoma City. And that's with the OKC Thunder. Kind of very special, the dynamic that both of these teams, both of these franchises have certainly built. And, you know, the future, certainly you got teams that you could rock this thing in the future. But again, the thing of it is, you got to take advantage of things when you're in it. How about Tyrese Halliburton said that better than anything over the course of the past couple of days, that you're not promised anything whatsoever. You may feel good about what you have, feel good about your future, everything's going right, and then it can all end in a moment. The other part about this is that it feels like that good fortune is riding shotgun with them. When you get that feel, now it takes two on this. First of all, you have to be good. First of all, you have to be productive. You have to be playing well, showing results, things of that nature. But when you also have tremendous fortune seemingly riding along, that is something that you absolutely have to take advantage of. Game number 2 is a significant opportunity. As I mentioned, I don't think OKC is going to go into this nervous, apprehensive whatsoever. I think they're going to go into it just like they did in game number 1. You're going to get a lot of what they did that certainly was the same, because honestly, they are the same team that they were the entirety of the season, arguably the best over the course of the regular season of the NBA. But it has been a fun ride, and it's funny, I double back to what I said talking about Chad Buchanan. It almost feels like that I have a hand in this, right? I don't have a hand in this, but it's like I take this personally because I was so on board with running it back. All right, that coming up on the other side. Jake Query of Query & Company. Eddie Garrison's back at the studio, too. And Jeremiah Johnson of Pacers TV is going to join us from OKC. That is coming up here in the 7 o'clock hour. About 7 o'clock or so for JJ down in OKC. Tom's Watch Bar, Michelob Ultra Zero brings us to you It is going to be a spectacular watch party. I cannot wait to see you here. Downtown Indianapolis is hopping. NBA Finals, game number 2. Tip time, 8 o'clock, your official pregame show with Pat and Mark and Eddie. Starts at 7:30. We have you until then. Don't go anywhere. The Pre to the Pre with me, JMV. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Watch Bar, Michelob Ultra Zero brings us to you. Watch Party, downtown Indy. There's zero reason why your ass shouldn't be here. I mean, it's a Sunday early evening, right? What else you doing? Come on. Seriously. Haul ass down here. My man Damien's right up there. Damien has located the fact, and by the way, if you're watching via YouTube Live, the AAA Membership Lounge, that, hey, Eddie, how many ounces do you think's in this glass right here? It's empty. And Damien, you want to talk up? Damien, come on here. You want to talk? It's time for a refill. Hey, jump on here really quick, brother. Phelan Watson's our on-site engineer. Damien is here as well. What we got going on here tonight besides you refilling this beer with Michelob Ultra?
Well, we know your favorite. Every time you come in, we make sure that's
exactly
nice and cold
right.
for you.
Yes.
So we got you. No, we're filling up. I mean, typically 2 hours prior to the game, we're filling up, and we're really trying to make an immersive experience here. We got pom-poms out for the fans. We got beads out. We're giving away Halliburton jersey. We got a DJ. We got Neutral in the house. I mean,
DJ Reckless is to my left right here.
He is. He does all our events now.
DJ Reckless gets it done right there. I'm going to tell you what, as I look around here, this is like the best looking crowd I think I've ever seen in here.
We try.
Did you try? I mean, is that what you did? You go, hey, well, we just want to make sure we get the best looking folks in this place right here.
Well, that's why we added you, too. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, my handsome chiseled features fit right in this room here. All right, Michelob Ultra Zero brings us to you, but what else you guys got? Not on tap, but food-wise here that people love, buddy.
Oh, prime rib. Prime rib is obviously number one. We got some of the best wings around. Look, we push the food out as fast as we can. We try to greet drinks in as fast as we can. So, really it's about just coming in, having a great time. And when this place explodes, there's nothing better.
Let me tell you this. We go back to the early days, right? When you first opened, and remember there was that moat that was right out there.
Oh, yeah.
You and I pissed and moaned about that all the time. But now it looks fantastic out there. It was worth the wait, brother.
Well, I sent you the video from Saturday.
Yes,
you saw
Game
Saturday.
6.
I mean, literally the entire street was filled up with guests. I mean, man, what a great time. And the energy just went from the inside to the outside. Everybody had an amazing time.
Well, and the amazing thing about Tom's Watch Bar is there's so much space.
Yeah.
I mean, you got space to get out, move around. You got space and then some. But, man, that was an awesome video right there because you could tell it spilled right out onto Illinois right there.
Oh, yeah. Took over about 4 lanes of Illinois. And, look, it was safe. It was great. Everybody had a good time. So, we're really looking forward to Wednesday, and it's going to be an experience, that's for sure.
And we should tell everybody that there are TVs absolutely everywhere. You're not going to miss a damn thing of nothing.
There's
right
one
here.
or two in here, I think,
Nothing.
but not a ton.
Uh-oh. Look.
I know.
She's going to ask you a question.
Abby, you want to get on the radio? Is that what you want?
She can if she wants to.
No, she's saying no thank you.
I think Abby would be really good at it right there.
I don't disagree.
Is that like a serious question she had right there? I don't want to keep you from answering any serious questions being asked of you right
She's
here.
probably asking me if you need another beer. Is probably what
There's
she's
no doubt
asking
about it. I mean, look right there, buddy. There's no doubt about that. It's open tonight.
We're open till midnight, and if there's any bigger events going on that last longer, we'll stay open later. Like we had UFC night last night. About 150 people in here for UFC night. So
we should mention that you. There is J-Law right there. Phelan Watson, the onside engineer. Eddie Garrison back in the studio. My name is JMV, the pre to the pre here. Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Pacers up a game. Best of 7. Tip time 8 o'clock tonight. Got Pat, Mark, and Eddie standing by in OKC for us coming up here at 7:30. I will take you until that point in time. Let me introduce some guests here. By the way, JJ from OKC. That's Jeremiah Johnson, top of the hour. Jake Query of Query and Company is here right here. So Eddie Garrison's back in the studio. Does this kind of seem like old times with you right here? You feel good?
I have to check my contract. I don't know if I'm supposed to be working with him past 12 to 3.
Sunday feel weird if Eddie Garrison's here with you?
You know what? If it involves the Pacers, then it involves Eddie because he, of course, will be man on the board for that. We'll be talking about it tomorrow. I know Jeff Foster's going to join us tomorrow, so we look forward hopefully talking about a 2-0 lead, but we shall see.
Hey, this guy right here is going to get some really good shots of me drinking beer on Fox 59 later on tonight.
It's the video everybody wants to see, really.
Michelob Ultra Zero. Hey, Phelan, come on back here. Let's make sure his microphone's ready to go. Is his microphone good to go right here? Aaron Graves of Fox 59 is actually doing some live video footage for us. He joins us here too, buddy. What's up?
Happy to be here. It's Tom's Watch Bar. We just did a live shot over on the Fox 59 app. We're getting ready to head over to Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Sold-out show over there. Expecting a pretty raucous environment for a place with no basketball players actually in it.
It's a badass place right here. We're packed here, but hey, go ahead and cut loose here. You can cuss, do whatever you want. It's not like tight-ass TV or anything like that.
That's scary, man. I don't know. That's a lot of responsibility for me. I don't know if I can fully cut loose.
See, that's what Jake used to do TV too, and he goes, hey, man, I got to get to radio where it's not so tight.
That's right. I like it when I go on the television, they ask me a question, they're like, try to limit your answer to 45 seconds. So, man, I forgot about that. Those are the days, right?
Now we just
I'm used to 24 minutes. I'm like, holy cow.
24 minutes of an explanation. What you've seen so far in here and obviously over this playoff run.
You know, this is just crazy. And I'm a person that I talk a lot about kind of being converted to a part of this city and enjoying my time in this city. But this has been an otherworldly experience because – you know, it's cool when the events come in and you've got like one night, like for the college football playoffs when there's 70,000 or however many fans in here. But for this to happen for hopefully, you know, maybe 4, maybe 5, 6, 7 games is just insanity. I was talking to the manager here. He said they had 600 people in here. They're at full capacity. When they won Game 6 against the Knicks, they were spilling out into the street. I said, who's mad about that? And all he said was IMPD is, you know, but that's okay. It's a party here, you know. So it's cool to see the environment like this.
You have absolutely, from the time that, and I know you've been here a while, but from camping out at the track to being out there virtually every day, there was a car on track, and now this, you've done a heck of a job of soaking in this market and just becoming part of it. I mean, there's a lot going on, obviously, but that's not easy to do, to be from out of town. And to be from Kansas City and come here, you're an official Hoosier now.
I like to think so. In a gig like mine, you never know how long you last in a place and things like that.
We know that.
So this has been great to be here, and the Pacers fans, and I think I've been embraced. You know, like I was embraced by the people at IMS, the fans there, and certainly the Pacers fans enjoy it, and kind of the community that's here is.
Did you drink out there? Did you drink?
Oh, on race day? Oh, yeah. They're pretty cool about it. I get to do a little bit of flip cup. You know, I'm out on turn 3 with the tailgater, so we do a little flip cup every year. I get to embarrass myself doing that. I've never gotten on the first try, or really the second try, being honest. Beer pong, not good at that either, but I'll still do it on TV. Yeah.
Where are you from?
Kansas City originally.
Oh, you really? Now, did you play hoop growing up?
Oh, yeah, high school. Get this, actually. I was, this is a funny story. Now Seattle Seahawks quarterback Drew Lock, I was his backup in high school.
No way.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I didn't. Jake, do you know that story?
I did not.
So that was the one game I really wasn't cheering for the Colts last year when.
Now, you guys tight?
Because he's a Mizzou guy, right?
He's a Mizzou guy as well, yeah. Yeah.
I think everybody Fox 59 hires went to college in Missouri, right?
Mizzou's best J school in the world, man.
Is that really?
Oh, yeah.
How about Syracuse was? That's what Syracuse people tell me.
Syracuse is good, sure. Florida's good.
Where's Indiana State on that list right there?
Good for baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
Baseball and NBA players.
Hey, guys, let's talk a little bit about game number 2 coming up later on tonight before we get to the top of the hour. JJ standing by in OKC. Jake, I'll start with you. Game number 1, a win. Game number 2, a little adjustments made. Everybody talks about what OKC is going to do. What do the Pacers do?
Well, first off, Oklahoma City taking Hartenstein out of the starting lineup. So, obviously, they're going to try to work a little bit more in terms of their backcourt pressure, I think. And considering that Indiana turned it over 19 times in the first half and still won, they got to take better care of the basketball. It goes without saying. at some point, John, you got to quit. And I love it, and I'm here for it, and I keep saying this, I realize, but you got to quit relying on the late game heroics and try to take control of the game. I think obviously getting offensive distribution evenly is going to be key early, and then that frees up Halliburton, and then that's what allows him to get going in those late fourth quarters. But I think we're going to see what we saw in the Oklahoma City game in game one, though, in terms of using Turner to pop out high, try to draw the defense out a little bit, even though now Hartenstein's not out there. Take advantage of that and try to get that three-point shot going and then start working that. Oklahoma City did a really good job, John, of limiting the Pacers in terms of their second pass entry in their offense and then shutting down kind of that motion offense they run. If the Pacers can get that first pass going and get that pace going to their advantage early on, that sets the tone. Then I think they get off to a good start.
Drew Locke's former backup, Eric Graves here. What do you think?
To the point of kind of that smaller rotation on OKC's part, I'd like to see Pascal Siakam try and take advantage of that if we can get some smaller players on him, that sort of thing, and kind of that high post area. I'd love to see him work right there, him getting hot. But, what you said there, I mean, they can't have 19 turnovers again and expect to win this game. I mean, even with the late game devil magic or whatever you call it, you can't just expect to beat OKC again. You're going to have to take care of the ball better, and I think they will. I mean, Rick Carlisle at this point is the king of in-game adjustments, game 1 to game 2 adjustments. I really like his style, and it's proven to be, a lot of Hall of Fame talks for him right now and what this series does to kind of state that, and I think he's doing it.
See, I thought that they did a good job in making that adjustment you're talking about with the turnovers at the half.
They did.
And that's the difference I think this team is compared to others. They can make those adjustments on the fly in-game where other teams have to wait and watch the film and then make the next game adjustment.
The other thing for this Pacers team that is unusual is at any time, no matter which group you're going with, at any time on the floor, John, they have 1 to 2 players that can catch lightning at a bottle right there. Obi Toppin was huge for them in that second half. And there was a time early in that game in game 1 where I thought this moment's too big for Obi Toppin. And then once he arrived, he was a difference maker for them. And, Nembhard was so good defensively, I thought, even with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander getting 38. Nembhard still, especially down the stretch, was so good defensively. But the Pacers, the thing about them is I just think that teams eventually look over and just think to themselves, good Lord, these guys just will not go away. And it's because of not just their depth, but their offensive depth and the fact that with the exception of maybe a Ben Shepherd, every player that is in their rotation is a guy that can start hitting shots for them at any time.
It's funny about what you just said. Rick Carlisle also is to be commended because a lot of coaches would go, I don't know about this Toppin thing anymore. Let's go away from this. We're going to ice your ass on the bench, and he kept him out there.
Yeah, he stuck with it for sure, and that paid off, right, obviously.
And I think along the defensive angle of things, a lot of people have been talking about Tyrese's shot for good reason. But SGA went down there and missed that shot. That's good defense right there on that final possession.
I thought, Eric, the defense that Nembhard played, because if you watch what he did, and he's played against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander since he was 9, right?
They're friends,
Correct. And Nembhard pushed his abdomen out, arms outstretched, but pushes, he looks like DiCaprio on the Titanic, right? And by doing that, and then Gilgeous-Alexander looks down. So as Gilgeous-Alexander steps back, he's assuming that Nembhard is right in his grill. He wasn't. But he was denying then the penetration at that point and forced him to pull up, and he misses the shot. It was in his head where Nembhard was, even though Nembhard wasn't actually there.
And it's to that point, that guy had 38 points, but Nembhard is never a guy that's going to go, man, this guy is busting me right now.
Right.
I am defeated. This is a guy who absolutely controlled Jalen Brunson in that game 6. He has had 2 back-to-back great games, more for sure tonight.
It's funny, too. When's the last time you saw a team win a game when they turned it over 24 times?
I know.
When was the last time was a guy lauded for a defensive effort against a guy that scored 38?
Well,
it's amazing the anomaly the Pacers are in that capacity.
If you're Oklahoma City, the anomaly is this. Jalen Williams did not shoot the ball well in game 1. You'd have to assume that he's going to do better with that, right? And in addition to that, if you look at Denver knocked them off in game 1. They came back and beat Denver by 43. So this is a team that knows how to answer. And the Pacers have not lost back-to-back games since basically St. Patrick's Day. Oklahoma City at the same time is a team that losing a game, they are not worried about that. They are able to bounce back. So it's a big one tonight for Indiana.
All right, Eric, when do you want 59 tonight?
We're going to be on 59 at 10 o'clock. We'll be on at CBS 4 at 11. And so we're looking at kind of that.
You get paid double duty for that, too? We're doing both? That's some BS.
You know what? I'm just working, baby. I'm working.
You just change stickers on the microphone? Is that what it is?
No, the microphone. It's a dual logo. We have Fox 59 and CBS 4 microphone. Biggest news team,
Jake,
biggest weather
team. BS? He doesn't get paid for both.
Well, we don't get paid for being on 93.5 and 107.5,
Wait a minute,
right?
you're right. What the hell am I doing?
Hey, it might be the industry. Who knew? Who knew? Yeah, but we'll be on at 10 and 11.
Here.
We'll be at Gamebridge. You know, we're looking forward to doing some very exciting live shots with fans after that. And even if, you know, I think the mood, no matter the outcome of the game tonight, is going to be very high in this city because regardless, you are coming back here.
They did what they got to do, right?
Your home court where you have played so well, either with a series tied and home court advantage now or up 2-0. And I mean, at that point, this city will implode.
All right, Wednesday and Friday, I'm at the pub and then at Pivot in Hyatt House. So make sure you bring the cameras down there. Get these handsome, chiseled features on 59 and CBS 4.
They need to be seen by the public.
Yeah, because that's how you guys raise the ratings.
That's the ratings right there.
Hey, Graves, man. I had no idea Jakey backed up Drew Lock in high school right there.
Well,
pushed it.
How good was Drew Lock?
Drew Lock was ice cold. I mean, dude is a baller.
So you didn't get on the floor a lot?
No, absolutely not. No.
That's why we didn't know you backed him up.
I'm a traditional 5, and Drew was hitting 27 points a night. You know, ice cold from beyond. He was crazy.
Now you got Query Company tomorrow. Jeff Foster's on the show. Who
else? Correct. You know what? Eddie Garrison will let me know who else is on tomorrow. But
He's
I know
busy
exactly
right now, man.
We'll be talking about this ad nauseum, and hopefully talking about a 2-0 lead. But we'll see what happens. But yeah. Look forward to it tomorrow and look forward to the game tonight.
All right, Jake, thanks for
game. And with the way Obi Toppin was shooting, it was a good move. And the Thunder had gone a little smaller. And so when they go small, you have the opportunity to go small as well. For Miles Turner, you know what you're going to get with him. And even his nights he's not hitting as many three-point shots, he's still a threat out there, and he causes the defense to have to respect what he does. And then on defense, as long as he can be somewhere near the paint, he's going to, cause Thunder players to give second thought about going to the basket. So, it was one of those nights. It was a good Pacers night because 6 in double figures, 7 with at least 9. Nobody had this amazing scoring night. But again, that's when the Pacers are at their best. So I don't tend to look at the box score and overreact with 33.
So, do you think the end-of-game situation, I mentioned the lack of execution for the Thunder, and the execution that we have seen, that's been prominent for the Pacers, certainly in the postseason. Was that the difference in the game in its entirety right there? The fact the Pacers have been there and done that, and so infrequently we have seen the Thunder in a similar position?
For sure. I mean, and it's not just in the playoffs that the Pacers have kind of been there and done that. I was just talking to our good friend Chris Hagan on a live shot, and I brought up all of those games in March where the Pacers were able to make some comebacks, where they were able to make plays late in the games. And so they have a belief when they are within striking distance that they can come back. The key to that game was that when they were down 15, they quickly got it back to 9 or 10. And no matter how bad a game has gone, if the Pacers are within 9 or 10 points midway through the fourth quarter, we know they are in position to come back. And Oklahoma City, while I was not here and I was watching from the watch party, but I got the feeling they just exhaled a little bit. They relaxed. Maybe they got a little tired. And when you let up just a little bit against the Pacers, you're going to pay. And that's what happened.
Jeremiah Johnson's in Oklahoma City, getting ready for game number 2, NBA Finals. Pacers and the Thunder, tip time at 8 o'clock tonight. Your coverage right here on the Fan. So we didn't see the Halliburton focused, big-time offensive and then orchestrating as he normally does. We're kind of waiting on that. Listen, I'll take what he gave everybody in game number 1, but are we waiting on that? And may tonight be the night for that breakout offensively? I mean, really going big from Tyrese Halliburton.
Perhaps, although I don't think it's a necessity. I think there will be 1 or 2 games in this series where he has your 30-point night, but he's not going to force it, and he's not going to go into a game ultra concerned about having a high-scoring night. He needs to get his teammates involved. He knows that 6 or 7 in double figures is the key, and then he's going to be ready to go to hit that clutch shot. So it doesn't matter how the game has gone up to the fourth quarter. There is no one else in the league right now I would rather have with the game on the line than Tyrese Halliburton. So the main thing is, take care of the basketball, and Tyrese Halliburton is a big part of making sure they do that. So rather than worry about a big scoring night, I just want Tyrese Halliburton probably to help lead that offense and help make sure those turnover numbers as a team are a little bit lower than we saw in game 1.
JJ's with us from OKC. You're a big basketball fan just like I am. You like to play just like I do. Have you ever been a part of a game where a team turns it over 24 times, as the Pacers did, and they end up winning in the fashion in which the Pacers did?
I don't think so. I mean, more than the 24 for the game was just the 19 in the first half. At the watch party at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, they had the 3 points, the field goal percentage, the assists, the turnovers, and they were keeping track as the game was going along. And I think they were actually plugged into the scoreboard, so they were showing turnovers before we saw them on television. And I just kept looking up a little bit in disbelief in the first half. And when a number gets to above 15 and a half, you just think you can't win the game, right? But then when you're only down 12 at halftime despite that, you think what is possible. And the key was the third quarter. They only had 2. Now, I'm not going to say they can limit to just 2 each quarter. It's a good goal, but 3 or 4 is probably a little more realistic because this is what the Thunder do best. I mean, they force turnovers. So you're not going to end the game with 8 or 9, but you don't want to be at 24, and you definitely don't want 18 or 19 at halftime. And so the biggest thing was the improvement they made from the first half to the second half in terms of taking care of the ball.
Hey, JJ, what time do you have to bail? I want to make sure I get you out here on time for Brad Brown.
Yeah, it looks like I'm going to be joining Brad Brown on RTV6, but he's talking with Richard Jefferson right now, so I got a couple more minutes.
Oh, cool. That's okay, because I got a little bit more time. I wanted to play off of what you just said. Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers TV, Oklahoma City. Tom's Watch Bar location. Michelob Ultra Zero brings us to you before game number 2 of the NBA Finals. The tip is at 8. 7:30 coverage begins here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. So you get 19 first-half turnovers, and this is something else I don't think I've ever said. Wow, because you only give up in 24 turnovers, 11 points off of turnovers to a team that absolutely thrives in that category. So I look at the Pacers not hanging their head and pouting, but getting their ass back on defense after those turnovers. It sucks that you turned it over, but not doubling down and making it worse, but getting back and defending it ended up being as important, I think, as any aspect of that game in Game 1 Thursday.
For sure. It's much like the goal to get back on defense against a team that likes to run. You know, if you have a turnover, and I'm guessing this was talked about in the 4 to 5 days between the conference finals and the finals, that if there's a turnover, don't complain, don't pout, just immediately sprint back on defense. And so you probably saw the coaching staff when there was a turnover. Normally we're seeing them when they get the ball, even after a made basket, you're hearing them say, go, run, push. You're seeing Rick Carlisle say things like pace, but it's almost defensive pace in this case, and it's not just after rebounds, but if you have a turnover, you have to have your guys from the corners and the top sprint back, go to the paint originally, make the stop there, and then find your man. So they definitely did a good job in that area. Imagine what they can do if they just don't turn it over in the first place and they get a few more shot attempts. That was the crazy thing, is the difference in field goal attempts for the Pacers and Thunder and to still win that game. 3 minutes, John.
All right, what are we going to see later on tonight? Yeah, 3 minutes for JJ here. Offensive side, defensive side, and then obviously a Game 2 push from the Thunder. What's your expectation?
What's the question?
Offensive push, let's just say both sides of the basketball for the Pacers, and the type of push that you expect in Game 2, down 0-1 from the Thunder in Game 2 tonight, JJ.
Well, I didn't go into the series thinking you would just dominate in fast break points because the Thunder are good at getting back as well. I did think a key to this series would be good three-point shooting opportunities and being able to convert on those. And that was so key, shooting 47% or so from three. It doesn't have to be high volume, but if you get an open look from three, you've got to knock it down. So you want to run when you can, but I still don't expect in this series to see a 25 or so fast break points from the Pacers. Get your 15 to 17. Get it when you can, but when you're in the half court, play crisp, effective offense, and you'll be effective.
Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers TV. He was on the flood. He's in OKC. You guys have really good seats tonight?
What's that?
You have really good seats tonight, or are they bad?
No. I'll be up pretty high, but I'm in the building. No complaints here.
That's what matters. All right. Hey, go ahead and jump. I get you. You got to run. Thanks for jumping on here, man. We'll talk later on this week, buddy.
All right. Thanks, John. Hope all the fans enjoy the night. As I've been saying, make a memory. They made a memory in Game 1. We'll see what happens in Game 2.
My brother, they're going to, too, because I'm going to get them all half in the bag right here as well at Tom's Watch Bar downtown, Michelob Ultra. That's Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers TV with us. I mentioned Tom's Watch Bar, Michelob Ultra Zero brings us to you on this very special pre-to-the-pregame show. And you've got Pat Boyle and Mark Boyle and Eddie Gill coming up at the bottom of the hour. Eddie Garrison is going to be running that. Eddie, I know we have, maybe 5 or so minutes remaining here in the show. Any thoughts you have as far as going in? Some of the things that should change, some of the things the Pacers and the Thunder adjust to compared to what we witnessed on Thursday night in Game number 1?
I don't think there's going to be a lot to change. I think when you look at that second half of the third quarter and certainly the fourth quarter, they played their style of basketball and they started wearing down Oklahoma City, and you saw it late with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. He's starting to have his hands on his knees, breathing very heavy. You can tell the wear-down effect was starting to come in. I'll be interested to see what kind of level of intensity Oklahoma City starts the game out with, because they gave a good punch in game number 1 against Indiana, and they just were able to hang in there and somehow play really, really good transition defense and not allow OKC to score off all those turnovers. And I think Indiana's going to have to weather the storm early again and just kind of hope they can stay in it late, because as we've talked about, this week and certainly leading up to game 1 of the finals, all the experience that Indiana has in the clutch, only 66 minutes during the regular season for Oklahoma City compared to 180 for Indiana. I think it's going to play a factor. It certainly did in game 1, and hopefully it will again in game 2.
Eddie Garrison is back at the studio as well. How much of a toll does that take on a team that normally runs roughshod over the other team? It has all regular season long and then does all that work only to lose in the final .3. A lot of people have referenced maybe this has a lasting impact into tonight's game. Do you think it does?
I don't think it does, just because of how this Oklahoma City team is absolutely wired. They're so well together, and they play with like a level of intensity and togetherness like Indiana, and I think they're going to come back better and ready to go for game 2, kind of like they did against Denver when they blew it late and they came back and routed Denver by 40+.
Eddie Garrison right there. All right, you guys got it coming up. Yes. Go ahead. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. Somebody just asked me, Eddie, if I was going to have a shot. Of course, I'm at a bar right here. We're going to have a shot. Tom's Watch Bar. Michelob Ultra Zero on a Sunday evening. Phelan Watson, fantastic job out of you. I know you've got both pre, in-game, and then post later on tonight to set the stage for everybody for game number 2. What do you guys got rolling for Query and Company tomorrow at noon, Eddie?
We'll have Jeff Foster on the show at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Other than that, it'll depend on how the outcome of this game goes, because we take a lot of callers after wins, and if they win, I'm sure Jeff Foster and then maybe somebody else that was at the game to recap it, but that's all we got going on for sure right now.
Well, it should be fun. There's no doubt about that. I will say, can you imagine for a moment what we would be talking about, what we would be doing on this show if this wasn't going on? It's funny how this normally is kind of a down time for us, but sure as hell is not this particular year. It makes it even more special, I think, does it not?
Oh, it certainly does, John. It's saving us from talking about how bad the Reds have been, but thankfully they swept the Arizona Diamondbacks.
How about that? How about that? Is that a kickstart for our fellows at all? Probably
I would
not,
hope so. I would hope so.
Just a pipe dream? I don't know about a kickstart right there. Hey, Eddie, great job. Thanks for coming in a little bit earlier and handling your business with me today, man. We appreciate that.
Anytime.
I know that Damien here at Tom's Watch Bar and Michelob Ultra Zero. Appreciate that. You do a great job back in the studio as always. By the way, Eddie also does the Fever pre, in, and post-game coverage as well. When's the next time we're going to see the Fever, by the way, too, coming off that win last night in Chicago?
Tuesday. They are in action Tuesday in Atlanta.
Gotcha. All right. Eddie Garrison back there. He's going to get you set. Coming up next, we've got Pacer pregame for you, too. I want to thank my friends Damien and the gang at Tom's Watch Bar, Michelob Ultra Zero, Phelan Watson. Excellent job. David Gray as well. Great to see all our friends here. So many familiar faces. But up next, we've got Game 2 pregame. Pat Boylan, Mark Boyle, Eddie Gill from Oklahoma City. You guys have one stinking blast. I cannot wait to hear this here. Game 2, Pacers and Thunder, NBA Finals, right here. 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan. Enjoy it.